On 23rd November 2018, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi likens the Kartarpur corridor to fall of Berlin Wall while addressing a gathering of mainly Sikhs on the occasion of Guru Purab. Just 5 days after that, on 28 November 2018, Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan said, "When France and Germany can be good neighbors today, why not India and Pakistan?" at a groundbreaking ceremony of Kartarpur corridor. But as India and Pakistan came close to each other for completion of Kartarpur corridor, a horrific incident happened. A terror attack on Indian security forces in the Pulwama district of Jammu and Kashmir on 14 February 2019. When the relationship between India and Pakistan seemed a little normal and better on the backdrop of Kartarpur corridor, it is soon turned into a relationship filled with bitterness and hostility after the terror attack. But such a terror attack was very much expected. Pakistani deep state consisting of the Pakistani army and the intelligence agency ISI has had a long history of executing such terror attacks as and when Indian and Pakistani leaders come close to each other to normalize the relation. On 19 February 1999, the then Indian Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee took a bus from Delhi to Lahore, and the two countries entered into a significant bilateral agreement popularly known as Lahore Declaration. But 2 months after that, on 3rd May 1999, an armed conflict, that is Kargil War, began between the two countries, and it lasted for almost 2 months, 3 weeks and 2 days. Hijack of an Indian Airlines flight IC-814 in December 1999 and a terror attack on Indian Parliament on 13 December 2001 happened after the Kargil event. When the then Indian Prime Minister Manmohan Singh began to enter into a deal with the then military dictator of Pakistan, Pervez Musharraf, the terrible Mumbai terror attack happened and the relationship between the two countries was worse than ever. India got the 2016 Uri terror attack on its security forces just months after Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi made a surprise visit to Pakistan and attended Pakistani Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif's granddaughter's wedding. The Pakistani deep state has now an established pattern of executing such type of terror attacks. But the real question is, how does the Pakistani deep state benefit from sponsoring terrorism in India and bad India-Pakistan relations? The first reason is to keep the parallel economy running. Pakistani deep state is not just an army and an intelligence agency, it's a state within a state. Pakistani author Ayesha Siddiqa, in her book Military Inc. Inside Pakistan's Military Economy, discusses Pakistan military's economic empire and its political, economical and the social effect on the country. In this book, she describes how the Pakistani military runs a parallel economy in the country. The military owns over 50 commercial entities ranging from banks, schools and universities, petrol pumps, huge industrial plants, bakeries, milk dairies and cement plants, and stands today as the biggest conglomerate of all business in Pakistan. The second reason is to sustain its dominant position. Since 1947, none among the 29 Prime Ministers of Pakistan has completed a full term, and in June 2013, Pakistan marked the first transition of power from one democratically elected government to another. Pakistani military has directly ruled the country for 31 years of the 61 years of democracy till 2008. This speaks volume about the sorry state of affairs of Pakistani democracy and the dominant role the military leaders play over civilian leaders in Pakistan. The army does not wield power only because of its monopoly over physical violence and its maneuvers, but also because the balance of power changes towards it whenever the civilian side is weakened by internal strife and real or perceived incompetence. In a developing country like Pakistan, the army is, after all, one of the most cohesive and well-disciplined institutions, which enables it to successfully intervene in politics. The Pakistani army's dominant position stems from some historical factors as well. Pakistan considers India as an existential threat right from the beginning of its formation. Hence, Pakistani civilian leadership prioritized need for a strong military at the cost of socio-economic development of people. The state had to allocate huge resources towards defense, and during the first 3 years, military commanded a whopping 70% of the federal budget. Besides getting enormous resources, the military was also given a lot of autonomy in their own domain. Pakistani leadership gave the military complete independence and did not try to meddle in their affairs. The complete freedom and high priority given to the military quickly transformed it, not only in terms of capability but also created its corporate and institutional identity. Till 1955, Pakistan went through 7 prime ministers with no change in military chief. But during the same time period, there had been 6 military chiefs in India while the civilian leadership remained stable. Another reason for a powerful army was the weakness as well as incompetency of the civilian side, aggravated by low political institutionalization. Political institutionalization was low in Pakistan from the very beginning, allowing the army to become an important political player. So it's very important for the Pakistani deep state to keep its dominant position sustained in order to secure its corporate privileges, professional autonomy, and even its influence over foreign policy. The third reason is very obvious, that is taking revenge of 1971. The liberation of East Pakistan in 1971 had shaken the foundation of the deep state, as the people of Pakistan blamed the incompetency of military rather than India for this event. For the Pakistani army, 1971 wasn't just about Bangladesh, it was also the humiliation of the Pakistani army, which had to surrender to the Indian army with 93,000 prisoners of war. The humiliation of 1971 has had a defining impact on the psyche of the Pakistani military and its approach towards India ever since. Just after 1971, Pakistani deep state realized it could not defeat India in a conventional war. So it decided to hurt India through proxy wars in the form of terrorism and militancy in India. Since then, many terror organizations were started with the active financial and logistical support of the Pakistani deep state. Many youths were turned into militants through ideological indoctrination. US huge sums of financial aid to Pakistan for raising Mujahidins who would fight against Soviet invasion in Afghanistan in the 80s gave the much needed opportunity to the Pakistani deep state to divert the financial resources from US for raising jihadists against India. This was in line with General Zia-ul-Haq's policy of bleeding India through 1,000 courts. The fourth reason is to build a national identity. Pakistan is home to many ethnic groups like Pashtuns, Punjabis, Sindhis, Baloch, etc., with multiple languages of their own. After liberation of Bangladesh in 1971, Pakistani deep state feared further disintegration of Pakistan on the basis of ethno-linguistic nationalism, as happened in case of Bengali-speaking East Pakistan. Hence, the Pakistani deep state promotes religious nationalism, that means using Islam as a national identity to counter ethnic nationalism. And the Pakistani deep state uses this strategy of religious nationalism for spreading terrorism and radicalization of youth in Jammu and Kashmir. The fifth reason is to acquire Kashmir. Pakistan's creation is based upon the principle of two-nation theory, that means India for Hindus and Pakistan for Muslims. Kashmir has a majority Muslim population, and Kashmir remaining as a part of India goes against the very principle of two-nation theory, and hence the very foundation of Pakistan. Liberation of Kashmir from India has always been an essential component of Pakistani nationalism and an important tool of the Pakistani deep state in pursuit of its military doctrine, bleeding India through 1,000 courts. The deep state plans a new terror attack on India every time, as and when the two countries are close to even beginning of process of bilateral negotiation. Because the deep state knows it very well that it won't be possible for the Indian leadership to conduct bilateral negotiations after a terror attack due to domestic pressure, and hostile relations between the two countries will continue to protect the economic and political interests of the deep state. If you liked this video, then hit the like button. Drop in your comments below if you consider any other factor that plays a role in Pakistani deep state's sponsorship of terrorism in India. Subscribe to Very Well Informed and press the bell icon to keep yourself very well informed.